In a bustling tech district of San Francisco, on an unusually warm autumn morning, a group of black motorcycle enthusiasts from the Unity Riders Club were enjoying their weekend ride. They were known in the community for their charity work and mentoring programs for underprivileged youth. The roar of their well-maintained machines turned heads as they pulled into a local coffee shop for their traditional Sunday breakfast meet. At the same time, a familiar figure in a navy blazer and MAGA hat was walking out of the same coffee shop, surrounded by his security detail. The tech billionaire had been making headlines recently for his controversial social media posts about diversity initiatives in the tech industry. The atmosphere grew tense as both groups noticed each other. The club president, a retired Air Force veteran with over 2 decades of service, made an unexpected decision. Instead of avoiding what could have been an awkward moment, he saw an opportunity for dialogue. "Good morning," he called out, his voice carrying the warmth and confidence that had made him a respected leader in his community. "Would you mind sparing a few minutes to chat about something important?" The tech mogul, known for his unpredictable responses on social media, paused. His security team shifted nervously, but he waved them back. Perhaps it was the genuine tone in the veteran's voice or the peaceful presence of the other riders, but something made him stop. What followed wasn't the confrontation that onlookers might have expected. The club president shared stories about their community work, about how their motorcycle club had transformed lives through their youth STEM education programs, teaching kids about engineering through motorcycle maintenance. The conversation shifted to electric vehicles, with the riders expressing genuine interest in the future of sustainable transportation. They shared their perspectives on how making these technologies accessible to all communities could create positive change. The billionaire, known for his quick dismissals on social media, found himself engaged in a real conversation. The coffee shop's outdoor patio became an impromptu forum for discussion about technology, opportunity, and the importance of understanding different perspectives. As the morning sun climbed higher, what had started as a potentially tense encounter evolved into something unexpected. Passers-by who had initially held their breath in anticipation of conflict now witnessed something far more powerful, the simple act of human connection transcending preconceptions. This was just the beginning of what would become a much larger story, one that would challenge assumptions and remind people that genuine dialogue, even between those who seem worlds apart, is still possible in today's divided world. The conversation that started outside the coffee shop took an unexpected turn when the tech billionaire mentioned his own humble beginnings. "You know, I wasn't always flying in private jets," he said, leaning against a nearby railing. "I used to sleep on friends' couches and eat cheap ramen noodles while coding." The motorcycle club members listened intently, sharing glances that spoke volumes. The club's vice president, a successful software developer himself, stepped forward. "That's exactly what we're trying to teach these kids in our community, that success isn't about where you start, it's about getting the right opportunities and mentorship." He pulled out his phone and showed the billionaire photos from their recent youth workshop, where teenagers were learning to code basic robotics while working on motorcycle engines. The images showed bright young faces focused intently on laptop screens, their hands dirty with engine grease, perfectly bridging the gap between physical engineering and digital technology. The tech mogul's expression changed as he swiped through the photos. Gone was the defensive posture he'd arrived with, replaced by genuine interest. "This is impressive," he admitted, zooming in on a picture of a young girl explaining her coding project to her peers. "How many kids are in your program?" "We started with 5 kids 3 years ago," the club president explained, pride evident in his voice. "Now we've got 60 regular students and a waiting list twice as long. The problem is resources. We're running everything out of our community garage with donated laptops and volunteer instructors." What happened next caught everyone off guard. The billionaire pulled out his own phone and started taking notes. "Tell me exactly what you need," he said. "Computers? Space? Instructors?" His security team exchanged surprised looks but remained silent. The conversation shifted from a simple street encounter to an impromptu planning session. Club members shared their vision of expanding the program to other neighborhoods, while the tech leader asked detailed questions about curriculum and outcomes. The morning sun grew warmer, but nobody seemed to notice the time passing. Passers-by slowed down to watch this unusual scene. a group of black bikers and a controversial tech figure deeply engaged in conversation about education and opportunity. Some took out their phones to record, but what they captured wasn't the conflict they might have expected. Instead, they witnessed a masterclass in breaking down barriers through shared goals and mutual respect. As the discussion continued, both sides began to realize that despite their different backgrounds and apparent ideological divisions, they shared a fundamental belief that technology and education could be powerful tools for positive change when made accessible to everyone. This realization was about to lead to something bigger than any of them had imagined when they started their day, something that would challenge narratives and prove that meaningful connections can happen in the most unexpected places. The conversation took a remarkable turn when the tech billionaire made an unexpected proposal. "I want to come see your program in action," he said, surprising everyone present. "Not with cameras or PR teams, just me, learning about what you're doing in the community." The motorcycle club members exchanged looks of surprise and cautious optimism. The club treasurer, who hadn't spoken much until now, stepped forward. "Our next workshop is this Saturday. The kids would be thrilled, but we need to keep it real. No fancy presentations, just our regular program." "That's exactly what I want to see," the billionaire replied, removing his MAGA hat and running a hand through his hair. The raw, unfiltered truth of what's happening on the ground. Word spread quickly through the community about the upcoming visit. Parents called the club members with questions and concerns. Some were excited about the opportunity, while others worried about their program becoming a publicity stunt. The club leaders spent hours reassuring everyone that they would stay true to their mission. Saturday arrived with a buzz of nervous energy at the community garage. Young students arrived early, their usual excitement amplified by the news of their special visitor. The space wasn't fancy, just a converted warehouse with workbenches, used computers, and partially dismantled motorcycles serving as teaching tools. The tech mogul arrived alone, wearing jeans and a plain black t-shirt, looking more like a regular volunteer than a billionaire. The kids, initially starstruck, quickly returned to their normal enthusiasm as they showed off their projects. One young student demonstrated how she had programmed an LED display to sync with a motorcycle's engine RPM. Another explained his app that helped track maintenance schedules. Their eyes shone with pride as they explained their work, mixing technical terms with youthful excitement. The billionaire sat down at the workbenches, rolling up his sleeves and asking questions. He didn't just observe, he participated, helping a group debug their code and sharing stories about his own early programming mistakes. The kids laughed when he admitted to once crashing an entire system because of a missing semicolon. As the workshop progressed, something remarkable happened. The initial awkwardness melted away, replaced by genuine engagement. The tech leader wasn't just going through the motions, he was fully invested, taking notes on his phone and occasionally shaking his head in amazement at the students' creativity. The most powerful moment came when a quiet girl in the back raised her hand. "Sir," she said, her voice barely above a whisper, "people say tech isn't for people like us. But you're here, learning from us. Does that mean they're wrong?" The garage fell silent. Everyone waited for his response, knowing this moment could either reinforce old barriers or help break them down. What happened next would become a turning point in this unexpected journey of connection and understanding. As word spread about the unlikely partnership between the tech billionaire and the motorcycle club, the story caught fire on social media. But unlike typical viral moments, this one was different. It was sparking real conversations about breaking down barriers in the tech industry. The club's workshop was quickly outgrowing its modest garage space. 1 month after the initial visit, a fleet of trucks arrived early one morning. Inside were brand new computers, robotics kits, and professional-grade tools. But the biggest surprise was yet to come. "This is just the beginning," the tech leader announced during an impromptu visit. He pulled out a tablet and showed the club leaders the blueprints for a new tech learning center. "I bought the abandoned warehouse 3 blocks from here. We're going to transform it into something special." The renovation plans were ambitious: multiple classroom spaces, a fully equipped motorcycle workshop, coding labs, and even a small manufacturing space for prototypes. But what made it truly special was how it came together. Local contractors were hired for the renovation work. Parents from the community volunteered their time after work hours to help with painting and sit-up. The students themselves were involved in the planning, their input shaping everything from the layout to the programs that would be offered. The tech billionaires' regular visits continued, but something else was happening too. Other tech industry leaders started showing up, drawn by the genuine success stories emerging from the program. They weren't coming with cameras and PR teams, they were coming to learn. "I've been in Silicon Valley for 20 years, one visiting tech executive admitted, watching a young student demonstrate her electric motorcycle conversion project. "But I've never seen anything quite like this. The energy here is different." The motorcycle club members noticed changes in their community too. Kids who used to hang out on street corners were now asking about coding classes. Parents who had been skeptical about technology careers for their children were becoming enthusiastic supporters. One afternoon, while helping a student debug a particularly tricky piece of code, the tech billionaire made an observation that captured the essence of what was happening. "You know what's amazing?" he said to the club president. "A few months ago, I would have walked past these kids on the street without a second thought. Now I'm seeing the next generation of innovators." The club president replied with a knowing smile, "And a few months ago, we would have seen your MAGA hat and made assumptions too. Looks like we're all learning here." That exchange became a powerful reminder of how preconceptions can blind us to possibilities. The program was no longer just about teaching tech skills, it was proving that meaningful change happens when people are willing to look past their initial judgments and connect on a human level. Social media was full of updates about the program's success, but the most powerful stories were the ones that couldn't be captured in viral videos, the quiet moments of discovery, the gradual building of confidence, and the slow but steady breaking down of barriers that had seemed insurmountable just months before. 6 months into the partnership, the transformed warehouse was buzzing with activity. The space had become more than just a tech learning center, it was a symbol of what could happen when different worlds collided in the best possible way. The morning started with an unexpected announcement. The tech billionaire arrived without his usual security detail, carrying a stack of papers. "Remember those apps the students were developing?" he asked the club leaders. "Well, 3 of them just got approved for the App Store, but that's not even the best part." He spread the papers on a workbench. They were contracts for paid internships at his company for 5 of the program's senior students. "These kids aren't just learning to code anymore," he explained. "They're becoming professional developers." The news spread through the center like wildfire. Parents who arrived to pick up their children found themselves in tears, watching their kids demonstrate professional-level coding skills. One mother, who had initially been skeptical of the program, hugged her daughter tightly. "Baby, you're really doing it," she whispered. "You're really becoming what you dreamed about." But the real magic was happening in the motorcycle workshop section. The students had started an ambitious project, converting classic motorcycles to electric power using their own custom-designed systems. The club members, who had once been purely traditional bike enthusiasts, were now just as excited about the electric conversions as the kids. Who would have thought? The club treasurer laughed, watching a young student explain the battery management system she had programmed. "We came here to teach these kids about motorcycles, and now they're teaching us about the future." The tech leader, who had become a regular fixture at the center, often rolled up his sleeves and worked alongside the students. Gone was the carefully curated public image. Here, he was just another person passionate about technology and learning. He had even started learning motorcycle maintenance from the club members, proving that education went both ways. One particularly memorable moment came when a group of students pitched their idea for a community ride-sharing app specifically designed for underserved neighborhoods. The concept was so solid that several venture capitalists, invited by the tech billionaire, expressed serious interest in funding it. "This is what innovation looks like," the tech leader declared during a presentation. "It comes from people solving real problems they understand deeply. These kids aren't just copying Silicon Valley, they're bringing their own perspective to technology, and that's exactly what the industry needs." The motorcycle club's regular Sunday rides had evolved too. Now they often included a convoy of electric bikes, built and programmed by the students. The sight of traditional bikers and young tech enthusiasts riding together became a powerful symbol of bridging generations and cultures. As the center's reputation grew, something unexpected started happening. Other communities began reaching out, wanting to learn how to replicate the program. The club members found themselves becoming not just mentors, but consultants, sharing their model of combining practical skills with cutting-edge technology. As the program approached its one-year anniversary, the impact had grown far beyond what anyone had imagined. The Tech Center was now hosting regular weekend workshops where students from other neighborhoods would come to learn, bringing their own unique perspectives and ideas. One Saturday morning, something extraordinary happened. A group of students who had been part of the original Garage program were now leading their own coding workshops. The sight of these young teachers, confidently explaining complex concepts to their peers, brought tears to the eyes of the motorcycle club members who had started it all. Remember when we thought success meant getting these kids interested in basic coding? The club president said to the tech billionaire, who was watching the scene with evident pride. Now look at them, they're creating their own tech community. The changes weren't just happening inside the center. Local businesses had started hiring program graduates for their tech needs. A small but growing number of tech startups, founded by program participants, were operating from a dedicated incubator space within the center. They were tackling real community issues, from food delivery systems for elderly residents to an app that helped locate affordable healthcare services. The tech billionaire, who had long since stopped wearing his MAGA hat during visits, had undergone his own transformation. During a casual conversation with the club vice president, he admitted, I used to think I understood innovation. But watching these kids solve problems I never even knew existed, it's humbling. They're not just coding, they're changing lives." The motorcycle aspect of the program had evolved in unexpected ways too. The electric bike conversion projects had caught the attention of major manufacturers. Several companies had donated prototype electric motorcycles for the students to test and improve. The garage was now a unique hybrid of traditional mechanical workshop and cutting-edge tech lab. One project particularly stood out. A group of students had developed a solar-powered charging station for electric motorcycles designed specifically for urban areas with limited infrastructure. The design was so practical that a major energy company expressed interest in implementing it citywide. The club treasurer, reviewing the program's impact, shared some striking statistics. Over 200 students had completed the basic program, 50 had secured tech industry internships, and 15 had launched their own startups. But the numbers didn't tell the whole story. The real success, he explained during a community meeting, is seeing these kids walk taller, speak more confidently, and believe in themselves. They're not just learning skills, they're discovering their power to shape the future. The tech billionaire had made good on his promises, but more importantly, he had become a genuine part of the community. He would often show up unannounced, not for publicity or photo ops, but to mentor students, learn from the club members, and simply be part of what had become a family of sorts. The story had come full circle. What began as a tense encounter outside a coffee shop had transformed into a model of what was possible when people looked past their differences and focused on creating opportunity. The motorcycle club members, the tech leader, and the students had all learned valuable lessons about judgment, possibility, and the power of genuine connection. On the program's first anniversary, the community gathered for a special celebration. The once empty warehouse had transformed into a bustling hub of innovation, filled with success stories that no one could have predicted a year ago. The morning began with an unexpected scene. The tech billionaire arriving on a restored electric motorcycle custom-built by the students. His security team followed in their usual cars, shaking their heads but smiling. He had spent weeks learning to ride from the club members, determined to show his genuine commitment to the program. "A year ago, I wore a hat that made statements without understanding," he addressed the crowd. "Today, I'm wearing this helmet that these amazing students programmed with LED displays showing real-time battery stats. That's what growth looks like." The celebration wasn't just about speeches. Throughout the day, students demonstrated their projects to visitors from major tech companies, community leaders, and families. One group showed off their new mobile app that helped local businesses connect with young job seekers. Another team presented their AI-powered tutoring program, designed specifically for students in underserved communities. The motorcycle club members, still in their leather jackets but now equally comfortable discussing Python code as engine mechanics, beamed with pride as they watched their students shine. "We thought we were just teaching them about bikes and basic coding," the club president reflected. "Instead, they've taught us about breaking down walls we didn't even know existed." Perhaps the most powerful moment came when a quiet student, who had barely spoken during her first weeks in the program, took the stage. She shared how she had gone from being afraid to raise her hand to leading a team developing healthcare technology solutions. "This program didn't just teach me to code," she said, her voice strong and clear. "It taught me that my voice matters, that my ideas can change things." The tech billionaire, sitting among the crowd rather than at the VIP section, wiped away tears. This wasn't the carefully curated public image he usually maintained. This was raw, genuine emotion. Later, he confided to the club leaders, "In all my years in tech, I've never been part of something this real." As the day wound down, the announcement everyone had been waiting for came. The program would be expanding to 5 more cities, with the original students and motorcycle club members serving as advisors. But this wasn't a corporate takeover. Each new location would be built around its community's unique needs and culture. This was never about creating cookie-cutter tech programs, the club vice president explained. It's about showing communities that they have the power to build their own future, their own way. The celebration ended with a sunset motorcycle parade, a line of traditional bikes mixed with student-modified electric motorcycles riding through the neighborhood streets. Residents came out to cheer, many holding signs celebrating their local tech innovators. This wasn't just a success story about technology or education. It was proof that when people dare to look past their preconceptions and connect as humans, remarkable things become possible. The program had created something more valuable than just technical skills. It had built bridges between communities that once seemed worlds apart. As the sun set on the anniversary celebration, the tech billionaire turned to the club president and said, "You know what? That coffee shop encounter might have been the best thing that ever happened to me." The club president smiled and replied, "Sometimes the best journeys start with uncomfortable moments."